What's going on, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about Cloud. Some big changes and some serious improvements to this game overall. I've talked about it a couple times in other videos, just like, you know, with like the wind materia and like how they took a look at what it was compared to the other materia and gave it something that gave it an identity. You know, how it now functions differently aside from just being an element. And they definitely did the same thing with the characters. So first off, dodge is very different this time around, especially on Cloud. He now attacks as he dodges. It does a little bit of damage. He doesn't travel quite as far, and I have no clue how materia is going to affect this, because last time we got deadly dodge, so Cloud would roll, attack, and he would have a spin attack that would suck the enemies in. Now your twister attack, your heavy square attack, that functions in that way now. So now that attack, instead of launching enemies away from you, will actually pull them in, which changes your combo potential like crazy. Along with that, you get ranged defensive combos. So Cloud can perform this dodge, and then he goes into launching a series of Mako blades from his sword. And it's pretty wild. That's crazy, because that definitely makes dealing with air enemies quite a bit different. That raises the question on how that's going to affect ranged characters. Cloud can just do everything, and kind of rightfully so. Cloud is not like everyone else, right? He's superhuman. He has Mako infusion, and he has Genova cells. He is double fully superhuman. Like, he is a superhero amongst people, and I think that's something to remember. But I don't know how they're gonna find the gameplay balance with that. We don't know if you'll have to have Cloud in your party all the time, or if you'll be able to switch them, or we don't know if you're gonna be able to mid-battle switch, kind of like Final Fantasy X did. We still don't know. That could all be revealed tomorrow in that new update for the Junon demo. We'll have to see. But it's very interesting because Cloud can launch like 4 or 5 of these Mako blades, and that will link directly into his ground operator combo. But it's also crazy because you can air dodge now. So you have combo attacks, heavy attacks, signature specials, and air dodge, and some special air abilities. This is insanity. I wouldn't be surprised if we even get character specific team synergies from the air. So that's pretty wild. You can do some pretty crazy stuff from far away. The other thing is, if you do a heavy dodge attack, it will launch 1 Mako blade, and he'll follow it up into a series of sword attacks close up, and this is how you get airborne. Yes, there is a definitive option for going airborne in this game with melee characters, and it is cool. And that's kind of one of the things they addressed in this is air combat with Cloud was really clunky in Remake. It was not great. It was, you know, you'd go up and hopefully the enemy didn't move, and it was just jank upon jank, and a little frustrating. So you often, you know, if you had Barret, obviously you would use him, but I would resort to, you know, magic and other things like that. But now you get more of an answer for these things to use Cloud the way he is. It feels more cohesive. There's something I liked about Remake, and that was kind of the grounded approach, where things were a little bit more grounded, especially with Cloud and his movement and his attacks and stuff. Now it's starting to feel more like Final Fantasy in the past, and I don't think that's a bad thing, right? There's still this visceral, heavy weightiness to the combat that I really love that comes from Remake, but there's also this new fluidity that is coming with it, and it really seals the just combo potential of this game. It is absolutely insane, the things you can come up with. And so when you're up in the air, you get the ability now to use certain moves in the air, like triple slash will actually take you airborne. So if you're fighting airborne enemies, you can count on triple slash getting you there. You can go airborne yourself, as well as there was one more way. You can use triangle moves now. You can use character specific specials in the air. So now Cloud, when you're up in the air, he can't obviously switch to Punisher mode midair, but he kind of does. So when you hit it, it drives an attack down in a whirlwind and automatically puts you in Punisher mode, which is crazy. So I performed this combo earlier where I used arrow, blew the guy up, did an air combo, slashed him down with that, was automatically in Punisher mode, and went to town using specials. There are so many crazy things, and that kind of leads me to the next thing. I don't know what the name for it officially was. I always called it the backslash or the switchblade, which is where you'd be in Punisher mode and hit triangle, and Cloud would do a spin and attack and go back to operator. He can still do that, but the property changes in two different instances. One, if you counter and hit it, instead of just spinning and attacking, he dashes through the enemy while spinning and attacking, moving him to the backside. This is a huge bonus, especially if you need to block and get out of the way of a big move. You can get that counter, boom, move to the back, and that is an awesome defensive strategy. The other time is when you're in operator combo. So you've landed the first launcher, and now you're going crazy in Cloud, swinging really hard side to side, bouncing all around, doing soldier crap. If you hit triangle at that point, Cloud will also slide back. So if you hit with the first attack, I believe the last attack, or with the heavy attack, the one that puts you into Fury or Berserk state, and then you press triangle, it will do a normal spin slash. So I was coming up with interesting combos where I would instantly go into Punisher and hit square, and like Cloud would fly forward, hit the enemy up, I would hold it, bring them back down to the ground, stab to go into Berserk mode, I would spin out of it with the backslash, and then I would heavy normal attack to suck all the enemies into me, and then I would transition into I would transition into Punisher mode while they were all, glued to me, and I would do the new Punisher mode where Cloud goes side to side, and I would hit like 3 enemies at a time in Punisher mode, just absolutely destroying them. And that's a big thing for Cloud too, is now his Punisher mode is so much stronger. It took me a while to get used to it, because one of the things I really loved in Remake was the camera was a little bit closer up, so everything felt very visceral and very heavy. The camera's pulled back a little bit more now, and that's obvious because you're fighting in bigger environments and more enemies and flying enemies more. There's just a lot more going on. And so now Punisher, instead of being one combo where he goes straight forward and kind of swings in a fury, Cloud hits and then kind of locks to that character. He becomes more sticky in that situation, and that makes your combos a lot more consistent, as well as it can hit multiple enemies at a time. So I noticed Operator was doing really good damage. It was doing awesome damage. Like better, I felt like it was more consistent than Remake. That could just be a lack of experience. But then Punisher just seemed to be that much stronger as well, where it necessarily wasn't doing more damage per hit, but it's doing more hits, it's locking the enemy down, it's driving the stagger, and if you have a group that you've pulled to you, now you're hitting the whole group as Cloud is flying around at warp speed. And that has just been awesome. So the ability to have a new Punisher mode and dodge combos and air combat, they address some of the issues from Remake, just gives you so much opportunity in this game. And that kind of brings me to the last point, and that's all the defensive options now, because they implemented the intermission perfect guard, which I love. This, I honestly want an update for Remake. You can make the game harder, I don't care, but timing your blocks or your counters with that perfect timing to take no damage is so freaking fun. It is so rewarding. There's so many insane challenges you could come up with and give to the game as VR missions or whatever that are just insane. Like, this game has elevated the technical skill that you can go to by a large degree, and it's so freaking fun. So a lot of enemies, they'll fly into you. You can do your normal block, which is pretty safe. But if you get the guard, it'll knock them down. So you get perfect guard, boom, with the big old block. Enemy goes down, and now you can do launcher combos or other combos, and it's glorious. The other thing you can do is if you time parry both with the triangle stance switch, or if you're already in Punisher mode, R1, either one, it doesn't matter. If you time it perfectly, you will take 0 damage and fulfill the counter. And now Cloud, when Cloud gets a timed counter, like if you time it properly, he will actually do a new attack into Punisher mode. So he'll do this like big chain that launches the enemy, and then you go straight into the free flow Punisher mode, and it's really cool. Everything just flows in this game. It looks beautiful. It moves beautiful. It is so freaking fun. I had so much fun trying to come up with new combos, new ideas, new gimmicks constantly for fighting just the stupid enemies in this demo. Like even the boss, there were so many times I was using the backslash to get out of the seizing claw. I was doing you know, the parry on the big tail whips. I was doing all these things using the new team strategy. That's another thing to talk about, is now that there are these synergies, you can have, like when you block, you get a set of skills. So it's like you have shortcuts on one side that give you like braver, triple slack, blah, 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 blah. But when you hold down block, now you get shortcuts for defensive options. So in the it's based off the characters you have in your team. So different party compositions are going to play a massive part in your strategy of how you go to tackle different situations. And with Cloud and Sephiroth, you get two. You get an offensive mechanic where Sephiroth will buff Cloud's sword with his energy, and the Buster Sword just becomes this huge pillar of purple destructive magic, and it's awesome, and you slam it down and it does a bunch of damage, and it does a bunch of stagger, and it's really cool. And then you have another one which is like an instant counter, and that works, if you time it right, it works on any ranged attack. I did it against the boss with Trine, I did it on the zoo with Tornado, I did it on a whole bunch of smaller stuff. If you hit that counter, Cloud blocks it with his big ass sword, Sephiroth jumps over the top and counters, and that is so cool. So I'm very excited to see. Obviously our party probably will not be as strong in those areas as it was with Sephiroth. Maybe you learn multiple. Well, actually, you probably do. I almost guarantee that they've thought that through. You probably do. So at the beginning, you're probably gonna have to pick, like, this is the area I'm in, these are the type of enemies I'm fighting, I should really have this party composition because these two characters have this defensive or offensive mechanic that really helps the party, and that's just insane. Like, you have character combos, you have character specials, you have character gimmicks, you have character defensive options, and you have magic, and you have, like, the special abilities, and you have limit breaks, and now you have synergy attacks where both characters are operating together, and it's just looking at just what Cloud can do alone is insane. And I could play this entire game with just Cloud, just the abilities we have right now, and not get tired of this. I've played this demo a few times just looking for new combos, new things. I played this thing for hours, and I'm still having fun just styling or actually coming up with good tech to bait enemies, to get around their attacks, to do other things, and it is just an unlimited amount of fun. I hope you guys take some of these things that I'm talking about and showing, and you guys go into the game and figure out some wild stuff when we can, you know, build a community of awesome Final Fantasy VII tech, because this game is gorgeous and it deserves to look badass, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. If you guys seen my video on spare change or wind materia, how that's changed stuff, I can't wait to see people take Cloud and throw money in people's face like freaking Yakuza style, just throwing money everywhere, and use these cool combos in that situation. So the demo will get the upgrade tomorrow, and I'm very excited to hear from everybody on what they're finding, and I can't wait to share what I find.